it's Lori. Hey, have you been manifesting and doing the exercises and everything's going well, but then you find maybe you're not getting the life that you want? You're getting these small things, but the things that really matter maybe aren't coming, or they're coming and they're fleeting. Or have you found that you're under attack more often and you don't know how to stop this? Well, as I've said before, it's not just an exercise. It's not just. I mean, you can do the exercises, you can do the meditations. Affirmations are kind of 90s, but they still work. We've come to realize that there are other things that work better. But all of these things, if you're doing them and you find that there are blocks, or you find that they may not be working to your liking, there could be many reasons for this. We grow in levels. We grow at basically four levels, spiritually speaking. The first is kind of like a victim mentality. And at that level, it's really when you're kind of spiritually unaware and you're still looking at, well, my day was bad because my boss did this, or if only my husband would do this, or um if only I had more money, or whatever the case may be. And yeah, sometimes you may take personal responsibility. It's not really about emotional or intellectual, or it's about spiritual growth. So if you're still in that mindset, you're kind of at the lower level, and you are manifesting, believe it or not. You're manifesting, you're drawing to yourself what you focus on the most, because what we focused on the most, what you feed the most, is going to grow. If you don't feed something, you starve it out, and it works that way for energy too. And then the second level is when you come to find out that your thoughts kind of do manifest the life that you want. And it's really not our thoughts that manifest our life, it's our belief system. So what you truly believe, and that's why the subconscious mind can come into play, because sometimes you might be, thinking positive and doing all the quote unquote right things. But if your underlying belief, if your subconscious belief is that you're unworthy, or that you don't deserve something, or maybe that money is bad, or marriage is bad, or whatever the case may be, if you're subconsciously believing that, then that is actually manifesting negative thoughts. Plus, we have, as we've said before, other energies and entities that are not seen to the physical eye that actually help to try to create these blocks and these thoughts. So at the second level, you're realizing that you can manifest, and you're opening up. And most people actually that are working on themselves and improving themselves are kind of at the second level, or in between 2 and 3. At this level, you're right on track, you're opening up, but you're not quite exactly where you need to be. And then at the third level is more of a servant to the Lord, a servant to your passion, a servant to your calling. So instead of being a passive, being passive in your spirituality, you are more proactive. You are led not necessarily by thoughts or by material things or by trying to manifest, but you're more led by guidance. You have learned to trust the guidance. You have learned not to act on feelings, because our feelings, our heart can deceive us. Those that teach, well, if it feels good, well, there's a lot of things that feel good that aren't good for us. So I'm not talking about feelings. I'm talking about that still voice, the voice of God, and acting on that. And if you get to that level, you are a servant to your calling. You are here to serve, and you're at a higher vibration. And you're going to find that the more that you're within the will of God, the more you do manifest. We manifest every day anyway, as I said, whether we're manifesting what we desire or whether we're manifesting negative things. Now, I'm not one to, I know a lot of people in the New Age movement teach in a way that actually blames the victim. And I, years ago in my early path. I mean, I was born gifted, so I don't ever remember not being on this path, but I do know that I've taken some wrong paths in wrong directions, and one of them was the New Age movement, and I totally am against it now for many reasons. It's a deceptive movement. They take the truth and they add just a little bit of lies so that it's not clearly visible. And if you don't know God, you could easily fall for it. But another thing that they do is they blame the victim, or they'll say things like, well, you can't interfere with somebody else's path, so therefore it lets me off the hook from helping them. Now, do I agree that we can't put our will on another individual? I do agree with that. Do I agree that we all have lessons to learn? Yes, I do. I do not agree that we should just allow somebody to suffer in the name of their journey. I think it lets people off the hook. It allows people to be selfish and self-centered without feeling guilty about it, because they feel like they're at a higher evolution. And people like me don't understand that, because you just have to let everybody along their own journey, which again is truth, but you add just that deceptiveness in that allows you to be self-centered. The fourth level is being right there, right with God, with Source, in that creative realm, completely there. Now, most people will never make it to that level where you're always completely there. I mean, most of us slide back. To be there, in my opinion, if you're there and God allows you to stay on this earth, it's because you are. I don't think anybody gets there, honestly. I would think if you're there, you're on the other side, or you're Jesus Christ, and there's only one of them. So we do go in levels. And I have a test out there, a little workbook test in my class where you can discover what level you're at, and with that you can discover the blocks and move past them. And if you're interested in that, just send me an email and I'll shoot that to you. I don't want to take time on that. This video is going to be long enough, I think. Another thing is, I think we get caught up in this realm. I think we know, if you're growing at all spiritually, you know that this is only a temporary place. We're not supposed to be too comfortable here. We're supposed to be grateful for what we have and live in gratitude and live in love, but yet at the same time not be so comfortable here. This is our home. I mean, this is not our home. You can go, like, say, to another country. I'm from the United States. Say I go over to France or Italy and I love it there and it's great. It's still not my home. So I can love it and I can stay there. I could stay there for the rest of my life. It's still not my home. I'm not a citizen of there. Even if I were to have like a dual citizenship, this is still my home on the earthly plane. So I can love it. I can be active in the community. I can support it. I can do things to help build it up, but it's not my home. Same thing with us. Our home is not here. We are temporarily here. We're not supposed to get to a point where this is all we want. Your best life now, that's crazy, because your best life is to come in eternity. Okay. So anybody that's teaching you can have your best life now is totally off base spiritually. But can we have the things that we need? Yes. We don't have to live in a mindset of poverty. And you might ask, okay, and this was one of my questions when I was kind of into the New Age movement was, okay, well, if it's me and my consciousness that's bringing things in or whatever, why are there whole regions of the world that are suffering in poverty? Why do people suffer and that sort of thing? And I'm not going to tell you that everybody that gets raped or everybody that's poor or everybody that goes through suffering, it's just their journey, and oh well, we can't interfere with that. I totally reject that way of thinking. I think people get hurt in this world, children die in this world, children get sick, the innocent suffer because we live in a fallen world. This world is not perfect, and Are there spiritual reasons behind it? Possibly, and we won't know those until we get over there. But for now, it's a fallen world. There's evil here, no doubt about it. And those that, I just heard somebody the other day who was teaching, again, teaching truth, but with a twist of a lie in there. Just that little bit of poison makes me reject the whole process, because I know that Satan's involved in it. But he was saying, how did he put it? There is no evil in the world, it's just your perception. Well, I don't know how anybody could look at a child being raped and killed as not evil. I don't know how anybody can look at human trafficking as not evil, just my perception of it. You sure, a pedophile might look at having sex with an infant as okay, that's his perception, but it doesn't make it not evil. So there is evil in this world. We live in a fallen world. And because we live in a fallen world, and because it's filled with sin, and the Bible actually says that the God of this world is Satan. So ironically, a lot of the spiritual teachers, and I think a lot of them are unaware. Some of them are aware, which is sad, but that teach those kinds of things, that it's just your perception. That God wants you to do whatever you want, just be happy, don't worry about other people. I believe that is, I think a lot of the people of this world do worship the God of this world, which would not be the God Almighty, the creator of all things. I don't want to get off on that. I want to go back to our spiritual growth and how we can change these blocks, and go along where we're supposed to be. So if we know that we're not supposed to be comfortable here, if we know that this is our temporary home, and we know that let's go back to the consciousness of okay, so there's evil in this world, and there's also collective consciousness. So if you are raised to believe that you're always going to be poor, that you can't get out of it, that's just the way it is, or you're raised to believe that, hey, in your family line everybody gets divorced, or in your family line everybody gets cancer, whole regions of people can believe this, and it actually rises to the level of collective consciousness, and it keeps it that way. So they're comfortable. Even, I'm not saying poor people want to be poor, or that people that are alcoholics and claim it goes down the family line want that, but it's subconscious. It's below. It's beyond our way of thinking. And if that's ingrained in you, and it's ingrained in, I think for a collective consciousness, it only takes like an eighth or something of a community to rise it to that level. So there may be some in the community that can look beyond this, but if the majority, or even like an eighth, I think it is, I can't remember, I used to know this stuff just off the top of my head, but it can keep it that way. So how do you change it? You got to change first within you, and then you spread it out to others. I don't believe that it's just about us. I don't believe that it's all about material things. Okay, so we also have a collective consciousness that tells us that we can't change things. A lot of people say think positive. Well, positive thinking isn't enough. As I said, your belief system is so your belief, your subconscious belief is where it's at, really. So we work on ourselves spiritually, and we come to know the truth. And as we come to know the truth, our beliefs, our soul wounds will be healed, and our beliefs will change. So now if we're not comfortable here, and we know this isn't our home, and we know that we're not supposed to, this isn't it, this isn't all there is. People that believe this is all there is, I actually feel sorry for them, because what if they don't have the greatest of things, right? Or even if they do, there's an emptiness in that, right? I mean, how many celebrities do we see that have all the money in the world? They have access to anything they want. They're miserable. They take their own lives. We see this often. There's nothing wrong with having material things. There's nothing wrong with having billions of dollars. There's nothing wrong with that, because think about it. With that kind of money, how many people can you help? How much of this world can you change? So there's nothing wrong with having that. But what's wrong is the love of it, the obsession of it. If you get to a point where all you're caring about is more, 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 all you want is more fame, all you want is more money, you're gonna end up destroying yourself, or you are worshiping the god of this world, and you're going to end up being destroyed. The wages of sin is death, and that's what happens, and we see it all around us. So okay, that's interesting. My phone's dying and I had it on the charger. That's why I just looked away. To the whole explanation of how this world is, it's kind of like an illusion, if you want to look at it that way. Some people call it a hologram. We get the Mandela effect going on, which is another video I want to do. But so if we can look at it as it's not all there is. It is, and it truly is an illusion. Everything that we see and touch, even if it seems material and it seems concrete, it is still made up of molecules, and it really can be arranged. And we're talking about higher thought, we're talking about higher levels, and you can actually change things. So you don't need to understand all of it, just know it to be truth. So let's say you're looking into a mirror, okay? And if you're looking into a mirror and you're like, oh, my hair is a mess, or I've got something on my face, or I need to get something on my teeth, I need to get rid of it. If you're going like this and you're trying, right? You're trying, okay, all right, I'm gonna get it off, I'm gonna fix my hair, right? Nothing's happening to my hair, of course not. I'm going like this. Or I'm going, something's on my face here, I want to fix it, let me fix it. Nothing happens, right? But if I take my brush or I take my hands and I go through my hair like this, I also see it in the image. I see it in the image that I'm looking at, but I'm changing it over here, which is exactly what we need to do. I think what we need to do, what we do a lot just by nature, is we are out here, we're in the image, we're looking in the image, and we're trying to fix it. Now I can paint all nice little things around me here, but it's not actually changing me. Where I have to change it is right here. Where I have to do my hair is right here. If I do it in the image of the mirror, it's not doing any good at all. So if you're trying to manifest and you're doing it out there and you're on the mirror and you're doing this, you're not changing anything. Does that make sense? Another way to look at it is, say you're in a restaurant and you look at the menu and the waiter comes up, can I help you? And you say, yeah, I'd like a hamburger. All right, I'll be right there. And he goes to the cook and he says, okay, make a hamburger, and does it exactly the way you want. And then a few minutes later, and now that's in the process of being made. Your hamburger's in the process of being made. Now, a few minutes later, you go, you know what? I don't want a hamburger. I think I want a tuna fish sandwich. Okay, fine. So he goes back and he tells the cook, scratch the hamburgers. Now the hamburger's gone. Now the chef starts working on the tuna fish sandwich. Now, what if somebody comes along and sits at your table and says, you don't deserve that tuna fish sandwich. You really don't. You don't want that. You don't deserve it. It's not good enough for you. You're not good enough for it. Whatever. It'll never happen. The chef won't make it right. Who says the chef will make it for you? Now, when we go into a restaurant, we order. We know when we order, we're going to get that order. It never crosses our mind that we're not going to get it, that the chef is going to think we're not good enough for it or anything. We just assume we ordered, we're going to get it. If somebody came along and said to us, you're not good enough for that, we'd probably kick them out, right? But in the spiritual realm, in this world, what we do is we say, you're right, I don't deserve it. So we call the waiter back and we say, you know what, I'll just have water. So then he goes back to the chef and the chef says, okay, scratch it, and it's gone. That's how it is when we manifest. If we listen to these outside voices, or if within ourselves we keep changing our mind, it's not going to happen. So, but you need to trust, just like you would in that restaurant, that as soon as you put that order out, it is being worked on for you. Okay? Now we want to make sure that it's on the menu. And if it's not on the menu and you ordered it, you're either not going to get it, or you're not going to get it in a correct way because they don't know how to make it. So you got to make sure it's on the menu. And by it being on the menu is you want to make sure you go to the right restaurant. You want to make sure that you are in the will of God. Because if you're in the will of God, you can think it and make it happen. There is so much to this. We can manifest. We can manifest. And I'm going to give you some steps on how to do that in the next video. But I want you to just think about a few of these things. Think about what it is that you want. Is it within the will of God? Is it for the higher good? Is it for your higher good? Do you believe you can have it? Okay, watch for the next video and I'll give you steps to manifesting that. All right, you guys take care.